Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Wednesday, the 11th day of January in the year 2023. Happy New Year to everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 6:02 p.m. May we have the roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilperson Ridley. Not here yet. Councilperson Prinzary. Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Ridley, you are here. Councilperson Soleil is absent. Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman. We have 8 council members in attendance at 6:02 p.m. Can we kindly rise for a moment of silence, please?
Alan Menta.
Thank you so much. On behalf of Council President Waterman and in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2023, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, December 15th, 2022. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, January 6, 2023 at 3:10 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Okay, council members, I am going to read the first readings into the record, and then we'll be taking a vote after I read them all into the record. Thank you for indulging. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 23-001 is an ordinance to exceed the calendar year 2023 municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap bank. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 23-002 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 3 of the Municipal Code, Administration of Government, Article 2, Council, Section 6, Annual Audit, and 8, Budget Committee, and Chapter 53, Personnel, Section 8, Hours of Employment for Regular Employees, requiring reports to the Municipal Council regarding overtime compensation and statutory extension of the date of submission of the budget and annual financial statement or completion of the annual audit.
You want to read them all, Sean, or do you want to come back to that one?
We'll come back to that one.
Okay.
If I could just read them all into the record. Thank you. Item 3.3, City Ordinance 23-003 is an ordinance adopting amendments to the Land Development Ordinance regarding micro businesses licensed as cannabis establishments or distributors, Chapter 345, Section 60.5. I will mark Councilperson Soleil present at 6:06 p.m. So we now have all 9 council members present at 6:06. Item 3.4, City Ordinance 23-004 is an ordinance authorizing the modification of restrictive covenant at Block 16301, Lot 65, formerly known as Block 1827, Lot T, also known as 784-8 West Side Avenue on the tax maps of the city of Jersey City. So Councilperson Solomon, I believe we had a lengthy discussion at the caucus regarding ordinance 23-002. Do you want to expand a little bit on that on the changes that were being made for tonight's meeting.
Sure. I think there's a lot of very constructive feedback related to the provision around overtime disclosure and compensation. And so in response to that, we sent amended language out to the council, has been shared with the clerk. And as it's a first reading, the clerk has simply, updated the ordinance on the agenda before introduction. But just to read it into the record, the new clause says each department director shall provide a monthly report to the council identifying all overtime spending by the department year to date, broken down by division, and comparing that spending to its allocated overtime budget. The department director shall submit that report to the city clerk to be included in the upcoming council meetings report of directors. And so it removes the provision that called for identification of overtime paid to each employee and the explanation that had been required.
Good. Guys, good? No. First reading. But I guess everybody's quiet, James, so we'll get back to you on the second. All right. Okay, because it's the first reading.
Yep.
Before we do the second, please reach out to Councilman Solomon with your concerns so we could adjust this appropriately, all right?
And
You can.
And just be reminded if there's any changes, if there's substantial changes, obviously, that would require re-advertisement. So with that being said, council members, I'm going to be taking a vote on items 3.1 through 3.4. Again, that's items 3.1 through 3.4. Councilperson Ridley,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Introduction.
Councilperson Bajano,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Rivera,
I'm going to vote aye for introduction, but with the ordinance that Councilman Solomon is proposing, we definitely need to sit down and chat more about it. It might require substantial changes, but we'll keep you posted on that.
okay? And Council President Waterman.
Aye for introduction, but I do want to suggest this because we come back in 2 weeks to vote on this. Let's meet before the 2 weeks so we can really get clarity in how we want to move forward, not the week of. We got enough time to do this, okay? I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so if I can just recap, items 3.1 through 3.4 are introduced unanimously, 9-0. Okay, on to our second reading ordinance, which is item 4.1, City Ordinance 22-103. An ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City amending the Jersey Avenue Light Rail redevelopment plan to clarify the inclusionary zoning requirements. Before I ask for a public hearing, I believe our business administrator is going to address the Municipal Council.
Yes, Council. So in discussion with Councilman Solomon and planning, just to side with caution, we are going to carry it till the next meeting. So we have a resolution present to follow the new guidelines, and just want to make sure we get it right. So the affordable housing component's a key piece of this, and we want to make sure we don't have any legal ramifications to it.
I also had a few concerns with it as well, but I'll sidebar with you.
So with that being said, may I have a motion to carry City Ordinance 22-103 to the January 25th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting, and I will duly advertise as such.
Motion.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Saleh, seconded by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to carry City Ordinance 22-103 to the January 25th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to carry City Ordinance 22-103 to the January 25th, 2023 Municipal Council meeting. Okay. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.2, City Ordinance 22-104. An ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-8, prohibited right turns on red signal to prohibit right turns on red at all times at the intersection of Marin Boulevard and 8th Street, with the exception of the northbound approach. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion made by Council President Waterman,
Second.
seconded by Councilperson Rivera, to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-104. Motion made by Council President Waterman, seconded by Councilperson Rivera. On the motion, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon, Councilperson Gilmore, Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-104. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-104, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera, and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 22-104 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.3, City Ordinance 22-105 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, amending Section 332-24, No Parking Certain Hours on Montgomery Street in front of 100 Montgomery Street. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium. And I see
Mhm.
Daly. Give me 1 second, Gene. All right, ready?
Yes. Yes, it's Jean Daly. I just had a quick question because I know that building, maybe I didn't get a chance to look at the ordinance in detail of but I was curious why this building is supposed to have no parking at certain times. I mean, it is a condominium. And I just don't know the reasons for this, ability to have them, have their own no parking at certain times. I'd like to know the background information and what that might be
Sure, I can,
possible.
if that's okay.
Yeah,
So-
go ahead.
so,
Okay, I'll
uh,
just listen. That's okay.
Okay, sure. It's an ordinance that the council president introduced, and it's not next to the condo, it's next to Paul's Hook Towers, 100 Montgomery. And the residents of that tower have been requesting a loading zone, bring their groceries in. A number of them are seniors, have trouble going in. So it's basically to create a loading zone so people have a chance to be able to pull in, unload their groceries, and come back. And it was requested by the residents, and the council president put it on the agenda.
It's still a public hearing on City Ordinance 22-105. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-105 was made by Councilperson Rivera,
Second.
second by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-105, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 23-105. Sorry about that. No, it's 22-105. Well, I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-105, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
It's when it's January, you think the ordinances have 23. That was for the introduction, Sean. Anyway, Councilperson Bajano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson
I
Solomon,
want to thank the council president for bringing this forward, and I vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 22-105 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.4, City Ordinance 22-106 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, amending Section 332-31, Parking Restrictions for Street Cleaning Purposes on Bergen Avenue and from Van Nostrand Avenue to Sip Avenue. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-106 was made by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-106, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-106 for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-106. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 22-106 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.5, City Ordinance 22-107 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, amending Section 332-31, Parking Restrictions for Street Cleaning Purposes on 16th Street from Jersey Avenue to Marin Boulevard. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-107 was made by Councilperson Rivera.
Second.
Second was made by Councilperson Solomon. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-107, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-107. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-107, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 22-107 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance. Item 4.6, City Ordinance 22-108, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, amending Section 332-22, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 332-24, parking prohibited certain hours at 675 Monmouth Street, which is the Ivy Primary Prep. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-108 was made by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-108, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-108 for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-108. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 22-108 is finally adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.7, City Ordinance 22-109 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 9, Parking for the Disabled of the Jersey City Code, designating reserved parking space at various locations throughout the city. Excuse me, this is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing was made by Councilperson Rivera on City Ordinance 22-109. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-109, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 22-109 is approved 9-0. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-109, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 22-109 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.8, City Ordinance 22-110 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, amending Section 332-24, no parking certain hours on the west side of Summit Avenue, 30 feet south of Secaucus Road. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion was made by Councilperson Rivera to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-110. May I have a second?
Second.
Second was made by, sorry, I was doing so well. Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-110, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-110 is approved 9-0. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-110, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano,
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 22-110 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.9, City Ordinance 22-111 is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson, State of New Jersey. Number one, authorizing the transfer of the Lowe's Jersey Theater located in the Journal Square 2060 redevelopment area and identified on the tax map of the City of Jersey City as Block 10601, Lot 41, to the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency. And number two, authorizing the city to provide funding to the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency with the resources necessary to address contingencies. And number three, appropriating $15 million therefore, and if necessary, authorizing the issuance of up to 15 million bonds or notes of the city to finance the cost thereof. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. Hey, Jean.
Yes, Jean Daly. I just had a few questions with this. And I believe it was discussed before, but why does the redevelopment agency need $15 million?
30 million.
Well, I see the bonds, so it'd be 30 million, but why do they need it? I'd also like to know, have the issues with the Friends of Lowe's, have they been resolved? Has there been any meetings with them? Apparently not. So I'd like to have answers, if I could, about this $30 million. Why, honestly, why does the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency need it?
Gene, we just raised taxes, skyrocketed taxes. We're spending up to $30 million here. The Friends of Lowe's were basically kept out of this. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a shame. And the people that took it over, the organization that was supposed to develop the Lowe's, I understood $10 million was all they were supposed to get. But now it's out of hand.
Right. My understanding, it has just skyrocketed exponentially like everything else does in this town. And I really wish someone could look, or everyone could look more into what these monies are going to and what they're for. And are they going to help the average citizen? Because what happens is the taxes go sky high and people are hurting. So I'm very disappointed in this, and believe some people really are getting the short end of the stick, and I fear it's our residents.
Thank you, Jean. BA, do you want to add anything or you good? Okay.
The reason we are transferring it, we did have bond counsel here last
Yes.
meeting. I know it was a few weeks because of the holidays, but the reason we are transferring it is because the state Economic Development Corporation has provided $42 million in tax credits for that area, which are handled by, in conjunction with the JCRA on our side. And the $15 million is the contingency that is built into any project that we do within the city. It's not authorized or issued. It's just a component that, if needed, if there's any overruns or environmental issues or something of that nature. And if the JCRA does have to execute those $15 million, the financial documents would come back before the council. So this is just a contingency upon the approval of the land transfer.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, this is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 22-111. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Like to know what is the contents of what they're gonna do with the lawyer? What programs, what benefits are we gonna get out of it?
Just if any member of the public doesn't know, this is Laverne Webb, Washington.
Sorry.
Is there any more questions? Go ahead. Is that it?
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
want to know.
All right.
Thank you.
Laverne, you almost got me with the hat. I didn't recognize you for a second. So we've been working with the New Jersey Devils Association to create an entire renovation of the Lowe's, and in that, each week there's dedicated hours for community benefit, and we'll work with our partnerships within the city. So it'll be both professional performances, local time, and then possibly relationships with the Pompidou or any other avenue that we have.
Laverne, we can't hear you.
Go back and forth, Laverne. You're a regular.
Organized. There will be
Call
availability.
them up.
Yeah.
Okay, this is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 22-111. Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Okay. We have a motion made by Councilperson Rivera to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-111. May I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-111, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close a public hearing on City Ordinance 22-111 for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-111. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary. Councilperson Bajano.
I'm voting no because the Friends of the Lowe's were excluded from a lot of the conversations. And I guarantee you, John, that 30 million will be spent somehow, some way by them. And the taxpayers will pay for it.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
I mean, the Friends of the Lowe's, they were here at the first reading and it had some concerns, but ultimately are working with the administration. I just want to clarify where the Friends of the Lowe's and the administration are, just on the record before I vote.
Just yell.
It's working, John.
Councilman, sorry, we did have a call with the Lowe's 2 weeks ago, and we're going to continue to have, I think there are a few weeks I can get a schedule, but, we've been in communication and, Christine Goodman's been our contact on the city side. Can you hear me? But yes, we are in continued conversations with the, Friends of the Lowe's, and they'll be a partner as we continue.
Okay, yeah. Just, I'm going to vote aye. Obviously, very important that the Friends of the Lowe's, they don't have veto power, but that they are, genuine partners in all of this. And I know that was expressed at with the JCRA and others. And then for the bond here, I know that this is a contingency and the JCRA did commit to us that if the contingency is hit, then they will come back to us and inform us. We don't have to vote again, but we just want to know and just make sure that the project is moving at cost.
Yeah, they can't issue any debt without coming back to the council. So they'd have to provide a debt service schedule detailing what those costs are for. And the council would have to address that at that point.
Councilperson Gilmore.
I vote aye. I just want to say, with respect to whatever additional construction is going to go on, that local minority contractors have the opportunity to go into, partnership to have opportunity to make some money. I vote aye, Sean.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 22-111 is adopted 8-1 with Councilperson Bajano voting no. On to our last second reading ordinance, item 4.10, City Ordinance 22-112 is an ordinance authorizing a lease agreement between the Jersey City Housing Authority, Garden State Community Development Corporation, and the City of Jersey City for property at 514 Newark Avenue for the purpose of providing services to people experiencing homelessness. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Your name, sir?
Jaleel Williams. I'm the Vice President of the Residence Management Board at Hudson Gardens.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm here today because it's a problem with the situation going on with the homeless people downstairs. I speak for the residents. We don't have no problem with the homeless people or helping them because we ourselves is one step away could be homeless, especially living in public housing. The problem is that before they had a security guard there or police, it was very violent there. The homeless people were coming around, hanging out, urinating in the hallway, fighting and arguing. I witnessed fights myself because of the disrespect. The only problem we have is security. A couple of months ago, they put security there and everything's been cool. So we don't have we're not against it. Only thing we're asking is for security all the time, like not like 2 months and then it's gone because it's dangerous with the kids. Like the people was so disrespectful, pulling their pants down in the public, and we're calling the manager, we telling them like what's going on. They saying, well, this has to do with them. We got to go down and talk to them. The people that work there are beautiful. They help everybody. They do things for the community. Like I said, we don't have nothing against what's going on. The problem is the danger part when there's no security. So all we asking is, could it be permanent that y'all have an armed guard there or a cop, not no just once in a while and then it fall off. And the other thing, we're having a meeting this month and with the residents to talk about this issue because we didn't know nothing about this. We didn't know nothing about how they took an apartment and then gave it to someone else. I'm not complaining because we got to help people. Just like they need help, we need help. So we in this together. But a lot of the stuff we didn't know. So now we're finding out. So now the residents are finding out and we're talking about it and we're having a dialogue about it. But the thing is, we're supposed to have a meeting the end of this month so we could get all of the residents' input. And we was gonna let Miss Vivian know that and what's going on in the meeting. She's supposed to come down. So that's the only thing. A lot of people not going on, and some people scared because they thinking like, well, they're gonna take this apartment. They already took this one. Now they might take this one, and then where we're gonna live.
Got you.
But the main thing is the security.
Security.
We need that to be all the time, not just sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamil. Thank you.
This is still a public hearing on city ordinance. I see Jean Daly.
Yes, good evening. It's Jean Daly. Having spent a bit of time up in the Dickinson area and such, and the gardens, it is a tough, depressed neighborhood. And those people who are living in the public housing have enough on their plate, and there are tons of kids. So having them exposed to even something else, that's, I'm going to say, dragging down that community is not ethical to me. They need to be supported. And though we all want to help the homeless, there's a place to do it. And the place to do it is right here in City Hall. It's not putting it into these public housing projects. It's in City Hall. So it'll affect every single one of you, the mayor, and everybody who's sitting here. It's about time someone gets real with how this affects real people instead of in this protected dome that we have here. I think it's profoundly unfair. It should not be placed in any public housing at all. The people in public housing are the ones who are at most dire straits. They're suffering as well. So why are we bringing in more things into their neighborhood, meaning their place, to threaten them more, threaten the children, and frighten them? I think it's totally unfair. I think it's unjust, and it's, how do I say it? I really wish you would put this somewhere else and delay this vote or pull it right now until they have this meeting with the owners, or the residents rather, and it should be tabled. Thank you.
This is still a public hearing on city ordinance 22-112. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
I beg the difference. You know why? If you out here like me, dealing with homeless people, this man is right. But it's not just in Dickinson area, it's in Lafayette area, it's in Marion area, it's in Montgomery, it's in the city. Go up on MLK, where old Robert's pawn shop was, and you see up there, what's the name of that place, Councilman Gilmore? Right there on the avenue that we have now to help homeless people?
The same type of program, but
Same type of
it's
program.
operating
And
under
these
different-
people I just got finished today. All day I've been in the street feeding people. I sat on MLK, O Street, from 9 o'clock this morning to 3. I went from to 12. I went from Randolph Avenue in front of my house to 3 o'clock before, in the cold, giving out juice, potatoes, onions, and canned goods and soup. I do this twice a month. Warm, winter, cold, and I see these people. And it's a shame. Yes, we need it. We got to work. Just like the man said. Put some po-po out there so they can help. We need security. We see these people up and down the street. I get 50 calls that the people think I work here. Mr. Byrne, I need an apartment. Mr. Byrne, I'm homeless. I got a girl, Keisha, call me now. Her building is bad. I got another woman call me. I need an apartment yesterday. Come on now. We just got to work at it and work together. Work together. Yes, it's homeless here bad. Very bad. I'm sitting in Dunkin' Donuts or where it was. Man coming there, I'm giving him his pants dropped down. He's butt naked. It's freezing. It's freezing. I'm up and down these streets day and night, looking at my people. My people don't have no color. It's a need out here. It ain't about us. It's about all of us. And no, they can't be in this dome in here. We got to go out to the highways and the byways and help these people. They need our help right now. This ain't no personal thing. God said, take care of the needy, not the greedy. Feed the homeless. I gave out 500 coats, brand new coats. I don't give my people used stuff. I gave out $10,000 worth of toys in the hood, in the city. I went to Macy's and bought these toys, not the Family Dollar, Dollar Tree. These people love this stuff. I gave it out to Chris 100. I gave it out here, there, New Hope. It ain't about us. It's about these babies running these streets. I pulled up on Claremont and at the grocery, a little boy out there.
Thank you, Laverne.
I'm getting off here for speaker, but I opened my trunk. I said, come here, baby. He had a little thin sweater on. I found a coat, a brand new coat in there.
Laverne, we appreciate your service. We appreciate your service, Laverne. I appreciate everything you do. I know you out there.
This is still a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Oh, how's everyone today? My name is Antoinette Schatz. I'm the president of Stegman Street Block Association.
Stegman Street.
I am, God bless you all, God bless you all. I am here not just for myself, but also for the homeless and the squatters who, let me first start with the squatters. The squatters are well able to work, but they have the tendency to pretend as if though they are working, they have a very good scheme of how to get into your homes. And once they get into your homes, we have to go through all legal technicality to get them out. It's unfair. They have no lease. They're not paying rent. They're not paying the light bill. They're just living on homeowners. And it's unfair to the homeowners. The taxes are high. The sewage and water bills are high. We have no help from council, the law, anyone. I am one of those people that is in this situation. Okay, and I'll help anyone, and God knows that's the truth. You can come into my home and live, as long as you don't smoke or drink. Okay, I don't mind that. But when you are a squatter, you don't care about what the homeowner has to say or the owner of a residential building. You don't care. You're going to live and break the law. There should be a stop to squatters. There should be a law against squatters having the right to live in a homeowners or residential home for keeping them off the street. No, this is not right. This is not right. I had one squatter tells me, I have 3 houses. Okay? So what they're doing is living off the homeowners.
Ms. Chess, just make sure we stay on the subject of the actual ordinance.
Okay. It is time for the homeless to be taken care of. And I'm going to make this very plain and simple and not be put on the backs of the taxpayers.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 22-112. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Rivera
Second.
to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-112, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-112, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Sean, I'm asking for this motion to be carried right now until the community is fully notified. And
Yeah. Councilperson, Bajano, we're doing a motion to close the
I
public
make a
hearing.
motion, But I also wanted the issue of, I want it to be carried. Because I represent the people of Hudson Gardens and that whole area there, St. Joseph's, Dickinson High School, and the community. And nothing has been explained to them, and the whole process has been horrible. Something has to be done for the homeless, and the Port of Authority has to be more involved in this whole situation, because they're the ones that have created most of this problem. So
Commissioner.
I'll vote to close, but I would like the motion to carry this on.
So before we do that, let's just finish the motion to close the public hearing, and then we'll entertain your motion as soon as we're done with the close of the public hearing. Thank you. Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise, Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-112 is approved 9-0.
Would I be able to ask the administration?
Go ahead, about the
Sure.
security.
Sure. Can I ask the administration just two questions? I'll just ask them both first. So the first thing Councilman Bojano said is there hasn't been community meetings. The JCHA director, Brady Phillips, said that there's going to be a separate meeting with the Hudson Gardens tenants, but that's the regular meeting. Can the administration commit to doing a meeting specific to this issue with Hudson Gardens and any other neighborhood associations who want to, have questions about this project?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll make sure Director Vivian Brady Phillips is there, as well as Director Flanagan, to answer any questions about both the cleanliness and how it interacts with the location.
And then the second thing was Councilman Bojano, as well as the resident from Hudson Gardens, specifically asked about security.
Yeah.
What is it that the administration might be able to say about commitments to security related to this?
Yeah, we absolutely heard both the residents and the council's concern about security. It's very reasonable to have that armed guard there or police officer. We'll work with the council on how we deploy that. But absolutely, we can do that 24/7. I know there's some concerns around cleanliness, and we'll work with Director Vivian to address some of those issues, because she does have her workforce on that site. So we could work with that as well. And if there are potential issues, the administration's agreeing to meet with Councilman Borgiano and any members of the council, not violating the Sunshine Act, monthly until we make sure that those issues are reconciled.
John, the issue is we'd like this carried.
Rich, please let her
Just
speak.
to piggyback on the
And you can
security piece, I
go
know
through
that in Marion Gardens, we have shared service agreement with the city and with Housing Authority. I would like that to be in place for
Mhm.
Hudson Gardens for this specifically. I know in speaking with some people, once the security was in place, things were
Mhm.
better managed, and it's very important, but I think that that's the appropriate model to follow here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll amend that shared service agreement and bring it to the council at the next council meeting.
And then, John, the gentleman also mentioned something in regards to the apartments and making sure residents had concerns that their apartments were going to be, I guess, taken for some of these services. So we need to also make sure that we're ensuring that we're not doing that or not moving residents for these services.
Yeah, I'll make sure that Director Brady Phillips has an information packet available to the membership at her meeting at the end of the month, and we'll share that information with the exclusive meeting on this with the.
I thought she mentioned,
We
go
want to
ahead.
be clear with that.
Right.
Director Vivian Brady mentioned that specifically, that they will not.
Not take, yeah. She mentioned
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
Right.
So we could share renderings and plans to show that's within the existing space and that nothing else
Right.
would be carried.
John, can we carry this until all these issues are solved and all these amendments are made to this ordinance?
Rich, is at the direction of the council.
Right,
You can call for it, but then we have to vote if we want to or not. That's your right to call for it.
I am calling for it.
So, Councilperson Bajano, you're looking at table City Ordinance 22-112 after the close of the public hearing?
There's numerous reasons. First of all, a flyer was put out throughout the neighborhood, which I had nothing to do with, and it's showing the date of this meeting as Thursday, tomorrow's date.
Call
And
for the
people
vote.
from Hudson Gardens, a lot of the people will not come down here. They're senior citizens. They don't want to come out, they're afraid to come out. And as far as I'm concerned, I know the issue of crime is very important, the issue of drugs there, the issue of going to the bathroom in the halls and out in the sidewalk there. We've had a lot of problems in the neighborhood. We want them solved. And I also want the Port of Authority to be involved in this because they're the ones that bring the people there. Garden State Episcopal has totally neglected the neighborhood. So I want it carried, and I want the Housing Authority to have meetings and explain this thing further to the residents of the area.
So Councilman, you want, to table or carry? Because, I mean, this has been going on
Well,
since I've
yeah.
worked in HHS and I
Well,
remember this
because-
program. So if
The program that's.
Yeah. it's for a while, this have been going on. So what I'm saying, I just don't think it makes sense to table now. I mean, if we carry it to the next meeting, it has to be like, it has to come a point where we move forward because ultimately these services are in dire need. And granted, no one wants this in his backyard, but it has to go somewhere. I have one of these programs move from my front yard to my backyard.
Yes.
Right? It brings a certain element we know and understand. These are human beings we are talking about here.
And we want to take care of them. We've had 3 meetings with the Port of Authority, 3 meetings with all these organizations, and they have done nothing.
Sean,
So
this is a hot time. Sean,
Yes.
call for the vote.
Yep.
If they vote to table, fine. If not, then let's move on and vote.
Very
because
good.
People are in dire need.
Gotcha.
Call
So
for this vote.
we have a motion to table City Ordinance 22-112 after the close of the public hearing made by Councilperson Baggiano. May I have a second?
Problem with tabling is it's indefinite. That's the
Right.
issue that I think a lot of us have with.
Yes or no?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
You can't second it.
But Solomon, I
So
thought.
we don't have a
you
second.
brought it up, Solomon.
Motion fails. So for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-112, Councilperson Ridley.
I want to make sure that everybody's concerns are heard. I think that the Councilman Boggiano, he does represent this area. He has some valid points. And I think that we need to work with him on it. I know the BA just confirmed some of the questions that we asked just now. But I think that it would be good to make sure that all of that is in writing. And I'm willing to work with Councilman Boggiano to assist to make sure that that is done and all of those needs are met if he would like us to support him in that. But I do think based off of what the vice president of the Tenants Association just said, that they don't seem to have an issue with it. They want to be secure. So I think we need to make sure that all of those things are in place to ensure their security and ensure that they are not being moved out of their homes. Regardless of this vote, those services are there now. So if we vote yes or no tonight, those services are going to be there. So that doesn't change that fact. So with that, I'm going to vote aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
So the drop-in service center has been in place in this location for about 10 years now. It's been providing services, but there have been, as the need grows, the need to change space and expand services grows. I agree that there should be other drop-in locations across the city of Jersey City. There was an instance where we had to address a woman in my ward who was homeless and she did not want to go to a drop-in center. And it took about 6 months from start to finish to get her even to a point where she was going to accept services. And then we had to have a social worker go to her, and she still goes to her to make sure that this woman's needs are being taken care of. And I think that having drop-in services across the city will alleviate some of the stresses in some of the other neighborhoods where they're currently located. Homelessness is not relegated to one part of our city. It is across the entire city, and we all have challenges with it. I understand Councilman Boggiano's concerns, and I'm here to support him in everything we need to do moving forward to address them. But this is an administrative function that allows for improvements to be made in the center. So if somebody comes in, they want to, have a congregate meal, which is part of the grant program. This is part of a grant program that's required for federal funding through HUD for the state, the county, and the city. So it affects all levels of government in addition to all residents here. This is going to improve services, put in a shower, put in an elevator, which will probably also make it more safe for the residents in the area of Hudson Gardens because the center will be more welcoming, so there will be more space for them to congregate in the center and not outside of the center. It also gives people a sense of dignity. So when you go in to avail yourselves of services, when you start down the road to put your life back together and to get the wraparound services that you need, you can take a shower, you can wash your clothes, and you can have a meal in dignity in a congregant setting with people that will be better able to support you and give you that human contact. So with that, I'm going to vote aye. But also, Councilman, I do support you with what you want to do moving forward. I know that this is contentious.
I got something to say after you all take your vote, but I just want to say something. I'm the only person on this council that has had meetings with the Port Authority and Garden State Episcopal and the Union City and the people from Sea Caucus over the last couple of years, and they have done nothing. I have been fighting to get the homeless off the streets, and the people of our community, we run a food bank and have been feeding them. But what has been done with this issue here by the Housing Authority and by the city, shoving this down the Hudson Gardens throats. And I disagree with the gentleman that spoke, because a lot of the other tenants are really afraid of what's going on and what I've seen over the last year. So I will make a statement after they take their vote. They all could vote yes, because I'm very disappointed in this council. I'm voting no.
Councilperson Saleh.
I understand that there are legitimate concerns regarding security. And I think that the administration should address those concerns. They should have a post there. It shouldn't be done with overtime. The North District needs more resources when it comes to security in general, but these issues can't continue to be ignored. However, I do think that these resources are necessary to help the unhoused. Sorry. Vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Very briefly, it's really important that we expand drop-in centers across the city, not just at Hudson. I have been working with Catholic Charities on expanding the drop-in center services at St. Lucy's, and should be able to have more details on that soon, because we want to. It's a citywide problem and a citywide responsibility. With that said, this is, a lease transfer. It's a sort of technical mechanism to allow a program that was approved a year ago to move forward, that, as Councilwoman Pranzeri said, we rely on funding for, or we get grant funding for, that we need to be able to do to get that grant funding. And the councilman has brought up a number of important concerns listed here: security, community engagement. Some of those are from organizations we don't control, Garden State Episcopal, Port Authority, but some are for organizations that our city functions. And I think it is really incumbent that those commitments are met moving forward. And if they're not, we as a council have to be able to look into this and make sure that, we aren't simply just putting this drop-in center here and then just throwing our hands up and saying, well, we've done our job. I have faith and confidence that will happen, but we will be vigilant and stay on top of that. So with that, I'll vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Yeah, I just want to say, I understand the concerns that Councilman Bergiano have. Also understand the reality of it, that, certain demographics brings about certain environments. But the reality is that, these are human beings, right? It could easily be any one of us. And the onus is on us to provide services. So that's what we had to do. We had to provide services, and providing that services, we must also ensure that there's a security mechanism in play. They had the same exact program on Claremont and Rose Street, and it's not a bad program, but it's bad when it's not executed in the manner it should be executed, i.e. the security. You need presence. More than police presence, you need mental health professionals, because a lot of this homeless population have mental health issues. So, when we're talking about providing these services, we're just asking that the holistic approach is attached with the security, with the mental health intervention and all of that. And then they moved it right down a block, and now they have security. They have mental health professionals on site or that comes there. So for me to see that and to serve that demographic, I think it's a win. I think it's a win, and we can't lose sight. Like these are real people, right? These are real people, and like these, some of them are my family members. Like they're human beings, they're real person. Some people, I don't think anybody woke up and said, I want to be homeless today, right? These are real people, and we need to do what we can within our power to, just be human, and be neighborly. So with that, I vote aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
We unfortunately can't cure every issue overnight, but we have to take steps and progress towards those goals. And I agree with the drop-in centers expanding throughout the cities, but I feel, and after hearing communication from both sides, that this grant opportunity and the benchmarks in it, and the initiatives and the new plans do address some of the safety concerns. I think myself and the council will continue to be involved in those benchmarks and see where we can have input to make sure that they're meeting them, and that everyone, every stakeholder is doing their part to run this correctly. So I vote aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
I mean, listen, I'm proud of the city of Jersey City for making sure that, we highlight this area and service the homeless community. This is a situation that we have throughout the entire city. And, we're talking about an existing program that's in this area, and we're talking about a little room that they are going to take to maybe put a shower and to help out the homeless people that are going to be coming in here. But just to add with a resolution, or actually an ordinance that we're having here with Councilman Solomon is putting, but this requires what the community wants. The community wants resources with respect to safety. I'm going to tell you straight up, the housing projects, they're not going to hire armed guards. We need to put our Jersey City police officers there, whether it's an off-duty or an overtime, and make sure that our residents, are protected by our very own Jersey City Police Department. So that is one thing that I will 100% advocate, and something that we need to look at when we start constructing this new ordinance with Councilman Solomon. These are the things and the needs of the community that we cannot ignore, and it's just not in Hudson Gardens. We're looking at a city-wide situation where we might have to consider putting those fixed posts in our public housing areas. So with that, I vote aye.
Council President Waterman.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the Vice President of the Resident Council for coming out and expressing his concern concerning security. This program already exists. I want to continue to say, we didn't know you was having problems down there with the security, okay? Part of our challenges as a council is knowing exactly everything that's going on. That's why it's so important for you to really pick up the phone and call and say, you know what, this security is not right, or something is going wrong. I don't know if you spoke to your councilman about that. I don't know, but you said a couple of months they had sent security, okay? And so it has gotten better, okay? Now, when this ordinance was brought to us before the holiday, it seemed like attention got on this issue again. My concern as a council president, why do we wait when the ordinance come forth for all this attention to come? If you know there's a situation that's happening before an ordinance come, we should be addressing it at that time. And I heard the councilman say he have met with different ones, but none of us was there. We don't know about every meeting. If you want backup from the council, then just invite us to your meeting.
It's before your time.
Before my time. Oh, okay. Okay, before this council. That's what he's saying. Because I want it clear. I am very concerned about housing. That's where I grew up. So I don't just I don't leave it uncovered. So if you have a problem with anything, you can reach out to any one of the councils. You can reach out to me. Security is important. I know that. And you said you're not against the homelessness, which I appreciate. You're not against it. You just want security. And so we will beef up the security. But if any other thing goes wrong, pick up the phone, call us at City Hall so we can make sure the residents there are safe. That is our responsibility, okay? So with that, I vote aye.
Okay, City Ordinance 22-112 is approved 8-1, with Councilperson Bajano voting no.
Sean, I have something to say, Sean, all right? As I said, I've been fighting for the homeless up in Journal Square with the SID and others for a long time. And I just want to say something. I'm going to say that I am totally disappointed in all of you on this council for passing this. None of us in the neighborhood, the housing authority never came to us, never spoke to us, neither did the city. I guess I was used to Frank Kajewski, Jermaine Robinson, Candace Osborne, and Rolando Rivera, all former council people, and the late Michael Young, because whenever there was an issue, we all stood together till the issue was properly solved. But I realize now, you and just, this is just the yes council that does what it's told. And I'll tell you, the people in the neighborhood and the Hudson Gardens, and I know the one gentleman spoke tonight, but most of the people are furious about this, and they're not going to forget it. And I'm very disappointed in each and every one of you here, because I've asked you all to just stand by me for tonight, carry it over to the next meeting until the housing authority came out and spoke to us, and they have not. They have never come to the neighborhood. So you did what you did.
We're basically,
I won't forget.
we're basically agreeing and supporting a humanity
Too late.
issue.
That's right. And it's,
So we have a gentleman from the housing project that came that represents
maybe you should.
the community, and the gentleman that came to represent the community stated that he is not concerned, well, he's concerned with the situation that's going on, but he basically said, as the representative from that housing project, that their main concerns are safety. We will make sure, I'm telling you right now, that an email will go from this office, and I'm sure from the rest of my council, that your security will not be breached because we will have the Jersey City Police Department there moving forward.
Thank you. Okay, let's don't go back and forth. Go, Sean. This is enough.
Okay,
We disagree, and that's it. Okay, go.
okay. So before we go to the public speaking portion of the meeting, I believe, Council President, you wanted to address members of the public.
Sure. We getting ready to start our public speaking portion, and what I would ask you to do is be respectful. Okay? Now, I know we're going to touch hot topics, and that's fine. So often when a person is at the podium and they're speaking, and when you like cheer, that cuts their time. And a lot of times when you do that, we really can't hear. All right? So everybody has a right to speak your piece, and we'll listen, but we can't answer back and forth during public, but during the public portion. Okay? So make your statements, and at the end, I'll make sure that someone address you guys. Thank you. Got it.
Okay.
Where's Baker?
Go ahead.
Corporation Counsel.
He
went to the
probably
restroom?
Baker was supposed to speak to them, Sean.
Rich, he will do it at the end. Let them speak. Go ahead.
Here, he's here. He's here.
We doing the list
Baker.
after the end. After the end, he'll make a statement for whatever they want. Yeah.
Okay.
At the end,
All right, first speaker, Laverne Webb Washington.
let them speak. Let him speak. Let the public speak. Go ahead.
Well, Jordan took the win out of me tonight. Well, Gianni, I love you. We over 50-year friends, and I truly support you. But I talked to that young man personally, and he said as long as they got security, they happy. And Councilman Gilmore, you know what we going through in Ward F, the same problems. I take food and cook and bring up to that office where we talk about on Forge and Jackson. We feed people in there. People in there go upstairs and they take showers in there. They do all the same thing right there where they redid the place where the old pawn shop was, Bojani. I take care of the web building, the building that the name next me that I brought to the community. My councilman here can tell you what we're going through there. People are breaking into that building because they homeless. They done broke the elevator 11 times, the side door, they sleeping in the laundry room. Am I right, Councilman? We got a big problem with homeless in our city, in our area, real bad. Am I speaking right, sir? And these people in that building calling me with the web building. The owner comes from New York, he secures the building, they keep breaking the door, the side door, they got the laundromat, the people in the building can't use. The homeless people are staying in there. We calling the cops are coming, had to call an ambulance on somebody. It's sad what's going on. We have to work together. This is what I was saying when I spoke before. It's a big thing out here today. We need each other. We can't fight each other. There's a big need that mental illness has caused problems. It's going down to our babies. I'm out here. They're smoking that dust and they're doing all kind of crazy things and it's causing mental illness. People who have got on drugs 10 or 15 years ago, they kids, it went into their system and we haven't straightened the system out to handle this. We need help. And we have to help each other and not fight each other. You all have a blessed and happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Laverne.
Okay, our next speaker, Gene Daly.
Oh, good evening. It's Jean Daly again. I know Council President Waterman stated, why don't we hear about these issues until right before the ordinance? It's because there is no outreach from a number of people to the communities. This has been a problem for ages where you have developments, changes to zoning, et cetera, where the community members are not informed. So this is a systematic problem that we have. And we do have an extraordinary problem with the homelessness, especially with these rent increases, the tax increases, evictions are on the rise. However, Jersey City has done nothing about this. And what's disappointing is I would love to see one of these centers in this city hall. This is where it should be. It should be where the base or the seat of government. Anything less than that is hypocritical as far as I'm concerned. They need to be, we need many more of them, and I want the first one to be here in City Hall. So I hope someone sponsors an ordinance to make that happen. A couple other things that came to mind about the Lowe's thing. And I know we're talking about tax credits, but typically tax credits are sold for dollar amounts. So if the redevelopment agency is going to sell these tax credits, who is going to be the beneficiary rather, of these funds? That's something I'm really curious about. I don't know if it's been answered or not. But getting back, there's a lot of things that I would like to speak of too, rather. But getting back to the police department and the overtime and all that stuff. We need our police. We know they have to deal with overtime if they have an arrest and paperwork, and I know that takes a lot of time. However, the fact that we're having issues or some even pushback about having the police department, Director Shea, et cetera, reporting this is really frightening to me. What I would say is if you're coming to the city council at the end of every year saying we need an emergency $13 million, I'm sorry, you need to be fired. You got to go home, go away. We never had a safety director before. We don't need one now. What has that office done? Nothing but suck up money. The way it's run, people are politically connected, get raises, get pushed to detectives, while the rail cops who've been there for decades get nothing.
I believe we must get rid of Shay and the entire safety department, whatever you want to call it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Okay, our next speaker, Joyce Willis.
Yes, Joyce Willis. I have some questions regarding ordinance 23-002, the budget. Does that budget include funding for Mary Bethune Center and Maureen Collier Center? Is that included in that budget?
Joyce, ask all your questions and then I'll have the BA speak to you on the side, which.
Okay.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm asking that is because I would ask if that budget can include a separate class for seniors regarding the computer. I thank the city for including 5 computer classes up at the Maureen Collier Center. But the classes that they gave us were on Facebook, how to put little funny faces on your face with your camera, frivolous things. Seniors need to learn how to upload documents, download, apply for different services throughout the city. So I'm just asking if you could restructure the training for seniors. Secondly, wait a minute, I jotted it down. My time is going, right? Oh. Secondly, we didn't realize that there was no more programs because there was no budget in place until we actually went up to Mary Bethune to get ready for our exercise classes or to Maureen Collier to get ready for our exercise classes. We didn't know because there was no budget. Before we could take any exercise classes, we had to give all our information, name, address, telephone number. They have all that. So could you please make it so that we could be notified so we don't have to go out there only to find out there is no classes and it won't be until we don't know when the budget's gonna be agreed upon and we don't know none of that stuff. So we're just waiting. So, and we need exercise. Seniors need to be active. So that's really all I wanted to say.
Joyce, call my office and follow up with me on all of that, what you asked, so I can follow up to see what's going on.
Okay. All
You
right.
got my number. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, 5.4, Harvey Charhan.
My name is Harvey. I'm an immigrant in this country. I've been here roughly 10 years. 7 of them were in Jersey City. And this is the first time in my life that I've had to come to a city hall meeting. I wish Americans could see this country from the eyes of an immigrant because I believed in the American dream. I believed there are systems in place and no one is above the law. And Democrat or Republican, at the end of the day, people do care about their constituents. These ideals have shattered over the last year. I know Portside Tower residents over here are clamoring for rent control, but I'm here to tell them it is pointless. Because you see, I have rent control, and it still doesn't help. Do you want to know what my landlord has gotten away with so far? An emphasis on so far. He has threatened to have me and my family deported if we don't take the case back. He routinely sends maintenance workers to harass us, refuses to provide us with rental statement that you all wrote in the law. But guess what? The way Jersey City wrote this chapter is there is no remedy for him breaking these laws. You can look it up yourself. There is absolutely no remedy. So he can effectively disregard this law. Don't take it from me, take it from Councilman Solomon. He wrote about this in 2019. Nothing's done yet. My landlord lies on rent control application. I tell landlord tenant, and they say we have no investigative powers. So I investigate. I show them how he's lying, but they say there is nothing we can do since we don't have subpoena powers. So what even is the point of this body? He can just write he did $1 million of renovation and there is nothing this body can do because, well, you don't have subpoena powers to prove him wrong. I asked this body to stop virtue signaling, enforce the law, and help families. There are 21 families in the building of my landlord, and not one of them will come forward because they don't want to be deported. I am the only idiot that keeps going after him. And those 21 families are failed by this city and every single one of you.
Which building? I didn't,
What's the building?
Which is the building that you're talking about?
yeah.
Which is the building
Which building?
address that you're talking
Talking
about?
about? Private landlord?
What's the number address? You said 21 families?
Summit Avenue.
What was that?
1144 Summit Avenue, Councilman Sally. I've spoken to Councilman Solomon before about this specific issue. Nothing is done. Right now, one of the bedrooms.
Okay, we got it. We got it. Don't get, we got the address. That's what we need.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker, 5.5, Kevin Weller.
That's you.
Go ahead.
Hello,
Hello.
letting everybody
Mhm.
a chance to get up here.
Oh, okay, your time.
We have heard the council has no power to act and that we must continue to pay over $500,000 every month, while the laws of Jersey City are not enforced. That we should spend tens of thousands of additional monies on lawyers to get the city to follow the law. And we should go through a process of litigation that we have not initiated and have no need to initiate if the laws of Jersey City are enforced. After consulting with the FBI at their direction, I have been introduced to some folks with the power to compel enforcement, despite what we might hear from the legal team later today. Turns out there are some better options, different than what we knew to date. First, I will ask the council to act within their power to do a very specific task. Jersey City Ordinance, Article 2, Chapter 3, Section 5, gives the council the following power. The council may require any municipal officer in its discretion to prepare and submit sworn statements regarding his or her official duties and the performance thereof. Council, please require the rent leveling administrator, Chiron Richardson, prepare and submit a sworn statement regarding his official duties and the performance thereof as it relates to the enforcement of Ordinance 260, specifically 260 Section 6C, which says this exemption applies only where an owner complied with all requirements contained in the Jersey statute, including the filing with the municipal construction official. I have contacted the World Outreach Christian Church where here in Jersey City, where Mr. Richardson is a pastor, and I was told that Pastor Richardson is a man of his word. The council has the power to find out what that word is. Once we know what his word is via his sworn statement, there are mechanisms in place to compel enforcement of the law he is charged with enforcing that are not limited to the powers of Jersey City if it ends up being necessary. From what I've been told about Pastor Richardson, he won't need to be compelled to follow the law. He will do so willingly and with purpose, especially given following the law will make such a difference to his community. I have an email from Mr. Richardson where he says this matter is under his review. I would like to request that he evaluate the facts and the ordinance and then put out an updated determination, just like Dinah Hendon did at least 4 times. Mr. Richardson, you are in charge of the enforcement of Rent Control Ordinance 260. Please do the right thing and enforce the law. How great of an opportunity is it that with a strike of a pen, one man can do so much good by doing nothing more than following the law he was appointed to enforce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Tara Smythe. 5.6, Tara. Okay.
Tara Smythe, resident of 70 Green, apartment building owned by the same real estate investment corporation as Portside Towers. I'm here today to stand with them, not only because of the safety issues in my building, but because the presentations that have been made before the council and the news coverage we learned to also request through Open Public Records Act 70 Green's claim of exemption from Jersey City's rent stabilization laws. As we all have heard, the city conducted its research and no responsive records were located. It means there was no filing, and without that filing, there is no exemption for rent control. In staying with the Open Public Records Act request and going beyond the possibility of rent control laws being broken at yet another equity residential building, I want to reiterate the hazardous living conditions, including fire code violations, failed elevators, personal property theft from apartments damaged during floods, acts of vandalism, and non-residents using 70 Green as if a shelter or safe house. The problems with 70 Green's infrastructure are well known to the City Office of Code Compliance. In a casual discussion with a Jersey City Municipal employee, 70 Green failed fire inspections in September 2021, failed again in February 2022, and was additionally fined several times over recent years for not correcting fire code violations. In fact, there have been so many fire code violations at 70 Green that, quote, the next step is for the city to take Equity Residential to court and force them to fix the outstanding violations. As the person would not go further into detail, those records have been requested by me for 70 Green. Equity Residential is one of the largest publicly traded groups in the United States, a group that saw their combined earnings surge to over $5 billion in 2021. They've also been sued over the past 5 years, 3 major lawsuits involving tenants mistreatment in the past 5 years, and is also currently under federal investigation by the Department of Justice, along with its data service provider RealPage for collusion by illegally sharing price information through their software rather than competing to attract renters. So that obviously is the excuse and issue with the gross rent inflation in Jersey City. They've created a false market. There's a class action was filed by a tenants group in San Diego in October of 2022. An additional building joined, and then as of last week, an additional tenants' rights group in Nashville joined the class action lawsuit. So amongst all of the rent stabilization laws and the history that these buildings have gone through to be approved to be constructed in the city, would keep in mind the RealPage lawsuit that is also signed by
Thank you,
Senator
Tara.
Cory Booker. Thank you.
Speaker 5.7, Anna Davies. Anna? She had to leave? Okay, thank you. Next speaker, 5.8, Thomas Conroy.
Madam President, council members, thank you for the honor to speak to you again. My name is Tom Conroy, and I've been a resident at Portside Towers for over 15 years. As our city council representatives, you served at the city's primary legislative body for Jersey City. It was you, in fact, that enacted our municipal rent control laws known as Chapter 260. In 1998, Equity Residential, our current landlord, purchased 2 buildings whose original owners at the time that they were respectively constructed did not file a claim for exemption from rent control. So it's simple, and it's the law. Both towers are and have always been subject to rent control. I hope that the recent appointment of the new director of the Landlord Tenant Association, Pastor Tyrone Richardson, that the city will immediately cease the harm that is currently forcing over 1,000 tenants who reside at both 100 Warren Street and 155 Washington Street. My fellow neighbors and I are looking to this new leader whose decisions will be made based on law. With respect Director Richardson's authority, we will respect Director Richardson's authority, and we expect that we will not relinquish this authority to others who may not have been operating in the best interests in the tenants in the city. Director Richardson, we call on you to stand up for what's right. Stop inflicting harm on the tenants of Jersey City and correct your predecessor's unlawful determinations. I appreciate your time tonight and the support that you will offer the director so that he can exert the authority which is empowered in his position. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, Tara Jew.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tara Jew. I'm a current resident of Jersey City, and I'm here to stand with the Portside Towers and with all the tenants in support of Jersey City enforcing its Ordinance 260. Ordinance aside, we've been told that if we put forward a complaint of an unreasonable rent increase, the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations would take action to have the increase lowered to a more reasonable number. Why make the tenants go through a difficult and long process if there can be a test for what is reasonable? Why not put forward a new ordinance that puts a cap on how large an increase can be for units that are not yet subject to rent control? What is reasonable? 5%, 10%? Please lower the burden for reasonable rent increases in Jersey City with the new ordinance. Every tenant should find out if their building is subject to rent control and join forces to fight for what is right for all tenants in Jersey City. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Alyssa Lattis.
Hi, my name's Alyssa. Thank you for taking the time to hear us speak. On May 31st, 2022, Portside submitted its first petition for the lack of rent control enforcement. It has led to the current determination that was received on September 25th, 117 days later. We are now 225 days from our original petition for rent control, and the city continues to try to wait us out, hiding behind an administrative process to delay enforcement of 260. Since our last meeting, I received a supplemental letter from Dinah Hedon where she supplied yet another way Portside should be subject to rent control. In it, she adds to the record the following documents: the mortgage dated September 27th, 1988. She goes on to list the statutes in 2A4284.2 on how exemption from rent control is to be calculated. Quote, it is not to exceed the period of amortization or 30 years from completion of construction, whichever is less. The mortgage shouldn't matter because no filing for a request of exemption was ever received for my building. Even so, if one considers the mortgage note of September 27th, 1988, that would logically place both towers to fall under rent control in 2018. However, Dinah chose to argue that because the initial mortgage was used to finance both towers, it cannot be considered that the mortgage was for either building. Rather, she considers it to be a construction loan for multiple towers. What is odd to me is that Dinah is picking and choosing when to see Portside as one entity or two, and always to the benefit of the landlord. Furthermore, Jack Newton, the manager of Portside, who files the annual landlord registration statement for 155 Washington Street, answered yes to the question, is this building subject to rent control? Not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but the past 3 years in a row, she has filed out the form this way. This information didn't seem to faze Dinah, as she boldly stated in her determination that this filing was performed in error when answering that question in her determination. Really, we see yet another illogical argument directly benefiting the landlord. Dinah's September 25th ruling has so emboldened Portside landlords that my most recent lease renewal included a rent addendum. It states, quote, we hereby notify you that these premises and this community is exempt from the provisions of rent control ordinances instituted by Jersey City. What? And the,
Thanks, Alyssa.
sorry, thank you.
Next speaker, 5.11, Alexandra Cram. She can't make it? Okay, thank you. Next speaker, 5.12, Rupert Dutt.
Council members.
Just make sure that the mic is faced towards you, please. There you go.
Better?
Better, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. I'm Rupa, a tenant at Newport's Parkside West Building since 2015. I have followed the efforts of Portside Towers since last year, and I stand by them and other renters who face similar challenges. I represent a community of about 400 tenants, and I would like to reiterate today the challenges we face. Newport tenants are truly voiceless and our landlord faceless. We do not know where to take our problems to for a mutually beneficial and speedy resolution. The building I live in, Parkside West, is by no means a luxury building. We have no amenities to begin with. It is one of the oldest buildings in the area, and the unit interior fittings and appliances are a testament to it. Over the 8 years I have lived there, maintenance has been a huge challenge. We have peeling paint, old and broken floors, old and faulty appliances, rodent infestation, to name a few. The landlord is reluctant to really fix or replace anything. It's just a band-aid approach until the next complaint. Yet I pay rent and increases for the last 8 years, and in the words of the landlord, market rent for Newport luxury building. Rent increases are indiscriminate. I have constantly paid a higher rent than those who have occupied similar units in my building. During the pandemic, I paid $2,500 for a unit where others were paying $1,800. My current proposed increase is a 30% increase. I'm at a point where I'm willing to risk eviction than succumb to my landlord's unsavory ways. It would take me more than 3 minutes to tell you what the past years have been like with Newport management. I urge all of you to review landlord practices in light of the laws and regulations laid down by the city and state and the state. Portside has been fighting this battle for 9 months now. Justice delayed is justice denied. I'd like to thank you, Portside tenants, and I stand with you and I call on all tenants in Jersey City to unite. Please send us an email at rentcontroljc@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, Suzanne DeFelice.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne DeFelice, and I have been a resident in good standing at Portside Towers since August 2021. My rent illegally increased this past August by 24.5%, enough that forced me to find a new job to pay for the unconscionable increase of over $600 per month. Pastor Richardson and Mayor Fulop, every day that goes by, the bill becomes larger that equity will eventually pay for their and the city's wrongdoing. It is time you do the right thing. 72.1% of Jersey City residents are tenants. Shouldn't the priority be for Mayor Fulop, newly appointed director of the Landlord Tenant Relations Office, Pastor Chiron Richardson, and all elected officials of Jersey City be to protect their biggest tax-paying resident population? Your actions or non-actions are being well noted. No one can disagree with the fact that rent increases have across the board been unconscionable and are out of control in Jersey City. Tenants have been forced to upend their lives due to the lack of enforcement of Ordinance 260. I ask you 3 things. Pastor Richardson, 1, please put an end to the secret and closed meetings between city lawyers and officials that specifically involve Portside Towers. The only reason to hide from us is at this point is because you or your colleagues have something to hide. 2, rent control aside, please propose a conscionable citywide rent increase cap that all landlords must follow. Rent increases of 20, 30, even 42% should be purely illegal on all accounts. 3, please follow the law and comply with Ordinance 260 and deem Portside Towers as fully rent controlled, or this issue will continue to follow you. No filing, no exception, no exception. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Henry Zhang.
Happy New Year. My name is Henry Zhang. I'm a 6-year resident in Portside Tower East. I'm also an accountant, have 25 years experience. So today I'm just want to share some of the public information with you. First, for Equity's 2021 annual report on their cover page, here's the direct quote as follows. We held same-store expense growth rate to 2.7%. Our high-quality properties requires less spending on capital expenditure. We provide a good hedge for inflation with our annual lease. Let me repeat. The expense growth rate is 2.7%. They have less spending on the capital expenditure. They have good hedge for the inflation. Then why have the rent increase to be in double digits? And the second, thank you for the opera's record. Over the 15 years from 2006 to 2021, they have a withdraw cash every year over 15 years of 10.4 millions. Think about it. We have 527 units of the both tower. So say we take 500 units. If you take 10 millions divided by 500 units, it means per unit have over 20,000 per year, or we can say that it's about 1,700 per month per unit. Think about that. For the New York area, the average rent is about $3,800. They take away $1,700 per month. That is over 45% is their net profit. So what I would like to say is that if you could consider when you have the financial agreement, think about this. They withdraw $1,700 over 15-year periods. And when we can see that the next year, how about the annual report they will show for the 2022? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.15, Lakshmi Mahesh.
Good evening. My name is Lakshmi Mahesh. Been living in Jersey City past 15 years. And the fact that every time the lease agreement comes back for renewal, now they've started adding one sentence saying non-negotiable, which just shuts all the doors for us to even have a conversation. So I would say, yes, the rent increases have been 30% and up. And I'm here to stand with Portside Towers. And I'm grateful that I'm here in front of you. And I'm very glad that you've taken out the time to listen to us. What has changed? We are still paying and overpaying rather. And I'm very keen to know what the council's effort is in this area. Are we talking about a new ordinance? Can we talk about rent control? Can we formalize everything so that we can see some relief somewhere? This is extremely important because it reaches a point where it is literally torturous. Because the moment the renewal is due, you're already thinking about how do I manage my budget? And let it be rational also, right? So that's it. I just don't want to repeat everything that everybody has said, but I'm very glad that I'm getting an opportunity to talk here. And I'm 100% sure you're all listening to all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.16, Sylvia Meyer.
Good evening. My name is Sylvia Meyer, and I have been a tenant of the Portside Towers for 4 years. I am married and I have 2 school-aged little girls. As many of my neighbors, our rent has continuously increased through the years, which is to a certain extent expected. What is more surprising, though, was to get our most recent renewal at a rate that ended up being non-negotiable at 14%. Funnily enough, we were some of the luckiest ones in the building. Most of our neighbors were facing more than 20%, some up to 40%, and many were forced to leave. We're now fearing the next lease renewal, wondering how much we will get this year and whether or not we will be forced to leave as well. Indeed, our income hasn't increased by 13% this year, not even 5%, to be honest. So we are now living paycheck to paycheck, and we won't be able to take another major increase. It feels as if we were all being pushed out, and the city is doing nothing to prevent it. So let me repeat the facts. Portside Towers has never filed any exemption for rent control. Never. They cannot find it. If I hadn't filed my taxes or could not find them, I'm sure the government would not let me go away with it. But how come Equity, one of the biggest giants of this industry, can get away with not following the law? No filing, no exception. No exception for big corporations. We are real people, real families. We have the law on our side, and we ask you tonight to please enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.17, Ryan Blum. Not here. Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.18, Yashada Shetty. Thank you. 5.19, Shakira Agua. Shakara Agua. Thank you. Sorry. Here or no? Thank you. I'll have to practice. Our next speaker, 5.20, Dina, only, Dina.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President and council members. My name is Dina Beloga, and I have lived at Portside Towers West since 2010. You may recall at the last city council meeting, my neighbor, Alexandra Kalm, cited direct quotes from local news sources that ranged in time from May 18th, 2018 through January 24th, 2020. The quotes were statements from our mayor, Stephen Fulop, and from you, Madam President Waterman, and from Councilman James Solomon. The common thread throughout the quotes was that those responsible for enforcing Chapter 260, the Jersey City Rent Controlled Ordinance, have not been doing their job. It bears repeating that Mayor Fulop stated on May 2018 that, quote, "The tenant, landlord, and the enforcement mechanisms for the city have been weak for decades." Fulop's quote is now more than 4.5 years old. That statement was given shortly before a rent leveling administrator was about to be newly appointed. In July 2018, we all heard what Director Hendon states during an interview, quote, "In my work with the Waterfront Project, I've seen a lot of violations. And now, in this position, since the administration is very interested in curing what has been an ongoing problem, just by revamping the structure and the job responsibilities for the personnel, inspectors who actually go out and make sure that work is being done, enforcement for housing codes, and the rent control ordinance will make a big difference in the lives of many, many Jersey City tenants, and I'm excited about that." As excited as she may have been, it's an unfortunate legacy that she leaves behind, one of not having accomplished what she ostensibly set out to do. The city now has a new director of its landlord-tenant office. This is an opportunity to get the city on the right path by finally enforcing the law. Give him the support and correct guidance he needs to follow the lawful way of fellow municipalities who have been faced with buildings for which no exemption from rent control exists. Hoboken and Union City are New Jersey exemplars, and Jersey City must stand with its sister cities to do the right thing. To do anything less is an injustice to its citizens. Every tenant should find out if their building is subject to rent control and join this movement. Reach out at rentcontroluc@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker, 5.21, Jessica Rasulo.
Hello, my name is Jessica Rasulo, and it's good to see you all again. Thank you all for your service. I'm proud to be a mom of 2 wonderful children who I'm raising to be active members of our amazing Jersey City community. We have made Portside Towers our home for the last 9+ years. I live at 100 Warren Street, where there was no filing of a claim of rent control exemption at least 30 days prior to the issuance of our certificate of occupancy. No filing, no exemption. Despite not meeting the requirements of Jersey City Ordinance 260-6C or the New Jersey statute, the landlord-tenant office has allowed an exemption to rent control for 30 years. As a result, my fellow tenants and I have had their lease offers renewed at up to and over 30% due to this flawed exemption. This is on top of previous years' double digits increases. The Jersey City office, which exists according to the Jersey City ordinance to enforce rent control, allows the landlord an exemption from rent control despite their failure to meet the requirements of 260. No filing, no exemption. The courts have already ruled on this very same set of facts in New Jersey. Jersey City is well aware of these cases, but they are attempting to ignore the law and the courts. In the history of New Jersey, no municipality with rent control ordinances has ever allowed an exemption to rent control when there was no timely claim filed. Hoboken, Union City, Willow Ridge, no filing, no exemption. The New Jersey Superior Court, the New Jersey Appellate Court upheld this decision by unanimous decision. No filing, no exemption. Why is the Rent Control Enforcement Authority for Jersey City trying to be the first in the history of New Jersey to allow illegal rents despite their peers, the ordinance, New Jersey state law, New Jersey Superior Court, and the New Jersey Appellate Court's decisions? Why, I ask again, why is Jersey City supporting large corporations over your constituents? We implore newly appointed Director Richardson to review the ordinance, the law, the findings of our peers, and the court's decisions, and the facts of our case, and to issue a new determination. And we look forward to the city supporting us in that. Follow the law, no filing, no exemption. Any other Jersey City tenants looking to join our fight to protect our rights, please email rentcontroljc@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.22, Saul Rodriguez. Couldn't stay. Okay, thank you. 5.23, Isaac Jimenez.
Evening, Council. My name is Isaac Jimenez. I am a Jersey City resident and a member of the Hudson County Democratic Socialists of America. I'm proud to be here standing in solidarity with the Portside tenants. Their landlords' illegal rent hikes represent many of the ways landlords in this city and the management companies exploit and abuse tenants in Jersey City. Last month, many people came together to ask for an investigation into the non-enforcement of Ordinance 260. What happened instead was a closed-door meeting after the unannounced change of the rent leveling administrator from Dina Hendon to Pastor Richardson. Dina Hendon was not held accountable for enforcing Ordinance 260. The last time we were all here, the legal counsel made it clear that the power to change the determination sits with the rent leveling administrator. The rent leveling administrator is tasked with enforcing Ordinance 260. The legal counsel for Jersey City is not the rent leveling administrator. I'm here to ask that the new rent leveling administrator enforce the law. I would also like to call for an on-the-record meeting to address the non-enforcement of Ordinance 260. Not ongoing litigation or pending litigation of any kind, not a meeting to discuss any particular case. We need public accountability for all Jersey City residents. The purpose of the administrative process is to be fair and a just process to find a lawful way forward. It is not meant to be a delay tactic that attempts to burn out as many tenants as possible so that they never find the relief that the law provides. Right now, the Portside Tenants Association are showing tenants across Jersey City what strength and organization looks like. Ultimately, they want to be able to stay in their homes and continue the life that they've built here in Jersey City. The Portside Tenants Association and Jersey City residents like myself are asking you all a simple question. Do you stand on the side of working people who struggle every day to live a dignified life and raise their family in a safe home? Do you stand on the side of Jersey City tenants who are worn down by the threat of eviction and unconscionable rent hikes, with the anxiety of searching for a new affordable place to live? Or do you instead stand with the corporate real estate state, whose profits are made on the backs of us working class in Jersey City, your constituents? Enforce rent control. No filing, no exemption. For everyone who lives in Jersey City, I invite you to join this movement by sending an email to rentcontroljc@gmail.com. And if you suspect that you're living in a Jersey City apartment that's under rent control and your rights are being violated, reach out to this movement. Thank you.
Next speaker, 5.24, Jessica Brown.
Hello, council members and Madam President Waterman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you.
So this is the third time that I've come to speak before you to ask that you help deliver relief for my fellow tenants and myself. Each day that goes by is an additional excessive financial and honestly emotional burden. And perhaps it would help you understand this burden, to hear what that burden really is to me personally. When I was an aspiring scientist in the 1990s, I'm still working on that. I was a work-study student who took out student loans and worked hard to complete my bachelor's degree. I lived paycheck to paycheck and accumulated debt like many. When I decided to continue school to complete my scientific training, we're always learning, my yearly income started at about $15,000. And I worked hard in school and I was able to get a postdoctoral fellowship, which paid about $35,000. So I was in my 30s, $35,000. Toward the end of my fellowship, I took a second job to pay the bills, and yet I still lived paycheck to paycheck. I say all of this to you to let you know that I know what burden and toll living paycheck to paycheck means. In my head, I still calculate how many hours I need to work to buy weekly groceries or pay the electricity bill. I shouldn't have to say any of this to you, but I know it matters that you understand the scale of what we're talking about here per person. Because the scale of my recent rental increase just in the last year is on par with what I used to earn in a year. My illegal rent increase last year amounted to over $15,000 per year. Let's put that into further perspective. The median household income in Jersey City from 2017 to 2021, according to census.gov, is about $81,000. And the median gross rent as a percentage of that income between about the last 20 years is about 27%. And that means that some people in Jersey City pay about $20,000 per year for their rent. My illegal rent increase, not my rent, but my increase was over $15,000. Across all of us at Portside East and Portside West, we are overpaying by $500,000 a month. This is all happening because you will not enforce your own ordinance 260. Our landlord is not in compliance with the requirements to achieve a rent control exemption, yet you stand idly by and allow this damage to continue. We now suspect the city's strategy is to continue colluding with the landlord in an attempt to wear us down, hoping that the issue will go away. However, we are instead gaining force and reach within the city because we are not alone in receiving unconscionable increases. With that in mind, I ask you to extend some relief to us, and you do have powers to do something. One of your responsibilities is to oversee performance of municipal officers, including the rent leveling administrator. We ask that you do so and move forward with the full force of your office, including penalties, to hold the office of the landlord-tenant relations responsible.
Thank you, Jessica. Our next speaker, 5.25, Rita Botelho.
Hello, Madam President and council members. I lived at Portside Towers for over 18 years until I was forced out to impossibly high rent increase, effectively an eviction. My sister and I moved into Portside Towers in 2014 after living with my cousin in a nearby apartment before she moved to Florida. We needed, to be able to afford to live in the neighborhood, even at that time, we needed to live in a 3-bedroom share. So we quickly looked for a roommate. After our second year at Portside, our rent increase went into double digits, and each year thereafter, we had to plead our case to work with them to lower our percentage. Each year, we nervously awaited our renewal and prayed our roommates would stay on even after the large increases. As you can imagine, with these constant double-digit increases, we went through a lot of roommates, 7 to be exact. In 2019, I got married, and my husband, in essence, became our 8th roommate, and we continue to see increases. In 2020, we were in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and had gone to $47.75, and we could no longer afford the constant increases, and we decided to downgrade to a 2-bedroom, 2-bath at $35.98. Within a year and a half, our 2-bedroom, 2-bath went to $46.85. This was only $90 less than what we would have been paying had we stayed in our previous 3-bedroom. This was an increase of 25% over the previous year's increase. In 2021, I was laid off from my job due to COVID. We never paid our rent late, not even while I was unemployed, or even in the 18 years we lived there. I didn't use any programs to pay for my rent. I didn't complain to the office I couldn't pay my rent. I simply used my savings to pay my rent, and I was grateful that I at least had this option. We were ideal and loyal tenants, at least I thought we were, as we never complained about the water issues, the elevator service issues, the many blaring false fire alarms, the lack of proper ventilation in the bathrooms, unleveled floors, floor panels coming up every summer that were replaced by mismatched tiles, or issues with mail and delivery. We simply lent grace to an older building and thought we'd be extended the same. The thanks we got for many years of loyalty was a notice on April 2022 of a 25% increase with only 2 weeks' notice. No negotiating whatsoever, regardless of the many years we had called Portside our home. Unable to find another apartment due to market pricing and now a one-income salary that no longer met the leasing income requirements of the neighborhood. With few options, we had to resort to the help of friends and family. We had to give away all our furniture, put our storage of bare essentials into storage until we could afford our own place. Our current situation is that my husband and I are homeless.
Sorry, Rita. Thank you. Next speaker, 5.26, Michelle Hirsch.
Madam President and council members, I'd like to share with you an open letter to Pastor Chiron Richardson. Dear Pastor Richardson, your appointment as the new director of the Jersey City Landlord Tenant Office may not have been widely announced by the city's administration, but the tenants who comprise over 70% of this city's population are paying attention. We are counting on your strong leadership and your moral compass to set the city on course where our elected and appointed public servants get it right and protect the people who they serve. It's a well-known fact that Jersey City tenants have been suffering for decades because of the lack of enforcement related to housing and rents. You understand what it's like to assist the marginalized and those who do not have the resources to fight for their rights. Likewise, the tenants of Portside Towers have started a new movement in Jersey City, where we are now bringing together all Jersey City tenants who need the education and support that the city has neglected to provide. From just the 2 buildings alone located at 100 Warren and 155 Washington Streets, there are currently over 100 illegal rent increase petitions filed with your office. Receiving the determinations for our buildings signed by your predecessor was a slap in the face to all tenants of the city. However, note the most important fact is that while her determinations ignored the law, you have the authority to correct the record. Chapter 260 unequivocally states that you have the powers and duties to do this. When you rise in the morning, you are beholden to nothing and to no one other than your God, your family, and Chapter 260. Do not waver in the new authority that you now hold. In the short 3.5-month period between her September 19th determinations and her exit last month, your predecessor disseminated no less than 4 supplements. With each, she demonstrated that she had the power to clarify, to add to the record, and to even correct content that she penned. She is now gone, and now you have the power to issue correct, lawful determinations and supplements that will control and make harmed tenants whole. Pastor Richardson, we urge you to observe that there are multiple paths forward. The one that will cost your people the most harm is the one currently being pressed upon you by corporate counsel, which is to preserve the status quo in the hopes that the administrative process will financially, emotionally, and spiritually exhaust us. Or you have a choice to travel the path that is the lawful, humane, and ethically correct one, which is to issue new determinations based on the law. Do not relinquish your authority to those who are fearful of the right way forward. Tenants recognize you for being an entrusted figurehead in the Jersey City community who will do right by your people. You and you alone have the powers. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.27, Mark Boyles.
Council members. My name is Mark Boyles.
I'm a fairly new immigrant. I've been here 38 years now. But I've spent the last 23 years in Jersey City, most recently in Paulus Hook and Newport areas, but now I'm at Portside. In 2022, I found out that Portside may be under rent control. I submitted a petition to find out. My petition was effectively dismissed by the rent leveling administrator in the official determination on the grounds that, quote, to date, no letter to the construction code official in connection with the requested exemption from rent control has been located, but that does not mean that one was not sent, unquote. This is the dog ate my homework excuse. The relevant law is quite clear that a filing for exemption from rent control must be received by the city at least 30 days before completion of construction. The assumption that such a letter may have been sent is not evidence, and the determination is thus wrong. In the absence of such a document, no case for exemption can be established, and the default position is that 155 Washington is under rent control. I expect Jersey City to follow the law. Filing, no exemption. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.28, Jaleel Williams.
I say thank you again to the council and Madam President. I really appreciate you guys for listening and really caring, because I was looking at y'all, checking y'all body language, listening to what y'all saying clearly, and I really appreciate y'all. I want to say my heart go out to you guys and what y'all going through. As far as with the situation with me in housing, I just want to hopefully get this in writing that we're going to have the cops there all the time. Because y'all said the thing been there for 10 years, and then, like I said, it's good now, but it was for a while, it was crazy. So what happened? And the reason we want this in writing, because it's scary for us up there, because the heroes, the police officers, it's not fair for them to have to deal with certain situations without someone dealing with the mental health issues, like you said. I think that was very important. So we just wanted it in writing because we had a problem with the kids in Dickinson coming in terrorizing us for a while. And then the councilman was there helping us. The problem is we keep getting, oh, we don't have enough cops, or, oh, we can't do this. And then we don't see nobody. And then they be fighting up there. This lady that I knew for a long time, something happened with one of her kids. They jumped her kid. She ended up fighting them. She's older than me. And the cops stood there and didn't do nothing. The kids be fighting and doing stuff, and they be there. And I'm not blaming our cops. It'd be like 2 of them and like 2,000 kids. What they supposed to do? So I'm just saying, please make sure this is in writing. Make sure this is for real that we're going to have the cops there, because those heroes, we need them. And we also need them to have the mental health people with them, so they don't have to be in a position where the community going against them because they're trying to do their job. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.29, Terrence Matthews.
Good evening. Thank you. Real quickly, I live literally down the block from the Hudson Gardens. And I think one of the things that I find difficult is to watch a repetitive process. All Councilman Bogiano asked was for this to be moved to another meeting so that all of these things could be looked at and addressed prior to you passing the ordinance. But instead, it's passed, and now we're going to have to figure out how to fix all these other things. So you have identified problems, you pass an ordinance, and then you say, yeah, we're going to fix it. Councilman Rivera said, housing authority is definitely never going to hire security. I forget who else said, well, I'm going to guarantee there's going to be cops. You can't guarantee there's going to be cops. You can't. All of this, where the mental health? Where the professionals? I'm a homeless advocate. I've met with Councilwoman Prinzari to see how we can address some of the homeless in McGinley Square. I believe that homeless people need to be treated with respect and dignity and have a right like every one of us. But the council can't keep passing things and then wondering how they're going to figure these things out. It has to be done first. We build 8 miles of bicycle paths and we have no enforcement plan. We're going to do it after the fact. I did an Oprah request on how many tickets have been given out in bicycle lanes and received a reply that I'm not entitled to that information because it's a municipal thing. Again, we built it and we don't know how to manage it. So now you're going to do something in the Hudson Gardens, expand with no concrete plan on how to manage it. And no one is saying the homeless people should not be serviced there. No one is saying that the homeless people don't deserve to have these facilities. But you have no plan for security. You have no plan for mental health. You have no concrete plan. Garden State has one outreach team for the entire county, not Jersey City, one homeless outreach team for the entirety of Hudson County. So I don't understand why we continue to pass these things with no plan. My plan to address both of my concerns, people don't want traffic in Jersey City. City Hall shouldn't have cars. Nothing provided. Take the parking lot behind, build a homeless shelter there. You'll fix both problems. All right, thank you.
Next speaker, 5.30, Antoinette Chess. I believe she left. Okay. Next, 5.31, Ray Blanc.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ray. I'm going to be representing Hummus JC. First, Denise, if I can get some help over at Triangle Park. I need a new fence that goes around our new native plant gardens that we installed. We got a $2,500 grant. We planted about 250 plants. I'm having troubles with parks and DPW on getting them to install a fence so that the plants don't get ruined. I also need our community board at the park to get fixed. I've requested wood and plexiglass for about 7 months now, and they keep saying they don't have the funds or the means to do it. We can't have it looking in shambles. Let's see what else. I would like to get an initiative started for city-based grants for all of our local small businesses if they operate a community fridge outside of their business. I think we should be supporting small businesses that are giving back to our communities. And this is one great way that we have food accessible throughout the city. So if we can start a grant program to help our businesses give back to our community, that'd be great. And then coming down to the participatory budget, wards B, C, D, E, and F are all getting new plants and trees. We're spending $140,000. I'd rather not waste that money on trees that are invasive or committing more harm than good. So we need to update those forestry standards that I've been asking about. Has not been updated since 2018. If you read it, it does not seem like it was written by an actual biologist. So we need to fix those. And then lastly, we have 2 months before the lanternflies hatch. I hate to say it and bring it up, but we have to start planning that and working on that now because it's going to be an issue in 3 months. We have not started any initiative to deal with this issue or invasive species. We do not have a legal invasive species list in Jersey City. That's something that needs to be added to the forestry standards. So just another preemptive. And then lastly, just calling for Amy to resign. Oh, and we need affordable housing. The 5% AHO is a joke. I can't afford to live here on 3 salaries. A city, state, and community salary, I still can't afford to live in the town I was born in. So please, can we make it so Jersey City residents can actually stay around? Thanks.
Ray, when you go back to the council office, can you just shoot me an email with that information? Or I'm going to start the process though, but I just want to start a paper trail.
And our last speaker, 5.32, Monique Green. Not here. Thank you. Okay. So before we move on to the regular scheduled business, I believe our corporation counsel would like to address the city council and members of the public.
Yes, Council President, members of the council, I wanted to briefly describe the rent leveling process as established and practiced in the city of Jersey City. Not here to discuss any specific applications or facts or any specific instances. I just want to lay out the process. New Jersey permits municipalities by state law to create residential rent control systems, which Jersey City has done in Chapter 260 of the City Code. Pursuant to the code, the process for assessing rent control claims is for one party to file the appropriate forms as issued by the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations. The Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations then issues a determination regarding the application, which may then be appealed to the Rent Leveling Board. The Rent Leveling Board will hold a hearing to uphold, deny, or modify the underlying determination. The Rent Leveling Board's determination may then be appealed to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey by either party. While the City Council may amend the rent leveling statute contained in the City Code, jurisdiction over that appeal, over the appeal of an Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations decision lies solely with the Rent Leveling Board and, if timely appealed, the state courts. The Jersey City Rent Control Ordinance was created the Rent Leveling Board in Ordinance C-14A is codified in Chapter 260. The Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations administers and enforces the Rent Control Ordinance. The Rent Leveling Board is empowered to remedy violations of the Jersey City's Rent Leveling Ordinance, to accept complaints of illegal rents, requests for rental increases under the capital improvements and service surcharge provisions of 260, and to review and correct rentals which violate the Consumer Price Index. The Jersey City Rent Leveling Board was created to hold appeals hearings and adjudicate appeals of the determinations of the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations for reduced rental hardship, capital improvement, and rent reduction applications. Either party to a case may file such an appeal. In practice, this means that a landlord or tenant seeking relief pursuant to Chapter 260 files the appropriate application with the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations. The Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations then follows the applicable procedure for investigating and making a determination as to the merit of the application. That decision is issued in written form to all parties affected. Either party to a case has the right to appeal the determination of the Office of the Landlord-Tenant Relations to the Rent Leveling Board. The Rent Leveling Board consists of 7 members and up to 2 alternate members who must be residents of the City of Jersey City. Board members are appointed by the mayor with the consent of the Municipal Council. To bring a matter before the Rent Leveling Board, the appellant must provide a notice of appeal to the board served upon all parties who participated in the proceeding before the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations, which includes the decision being appealed and the factual or legal basis for the appeal. The Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations will then provide the full file used to make its determinations, along with any submissions made by any party relating to the appeal to the Rent Leveling Board. The Rent Leveling Board typically meets monthly to hear pending appeals. All parties are entitled to consult with and be represented by legal counsel at all stages of these proceedings. The board's final decision must be in writing or stated on the record. The board may issue a decision by motion at the close of a hearing or may reserve decision if additional information or deliberation is needed. The board's decisions are then reduced to writing, signed by the presiding member of the board, and sent to all parties. A party dissatisfied with a board decision may appeal the decision to the Superior Court of New Jersey. The procedure for filing an appeal of the Rent Leveling Board's decision is governed by New Jersey Court Rule 4:69, entitled Actions in lieu of Prerogative Writs. Appeals filed pursuant to Rule 4:69 may be made within 45 days of the determination to be appealed and are filed with the Superior Court Law Division Civil Part of the appropriate county. In summary, the Rent Leveling Office and Board were created to act as neutral fact-finding bodies which perform duties free from undue influence of the city and its officials. All parties have multiple layers of remedies in the process and in the law to have their concerns and grievances addressed, including in the Superior Court of New Jersey.
Okay. Great. On to petitions and communications. Any questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.33?
I had a question.
Good.
In the instance of, you know, one rent leveling administrator leaving and another incoming rent leveling administrator coming in, does the incoming rent leveling administrator have the ability to reaffirm, reassess, or, you know, look at whatever is happening in the process?
I would say the rent leveling administrator, whomever it is at any given time, obviously has the authority to issue determinations and supplement. Whether he or she chooses to do so is up to that director's discretion.
Okay. Can the council request a report regarding the enforcement of Chapter 260 as well as the, what's it called? What enforcement mechanisms there are and what the job description is and what they are currently doing to enforce 260?
Yes, I can work with you on that, and we can, you know, discuss what the metes and bounds of that report would be. And yes, I'll work with you on that.
Yeah. And if I think the council, you know, if we have the appetite, I think we should look into Chapter 260 to beef it up and strengthen it.
And again, whatever changes there are, you know, obviously we'll work with you to update that as you see fit.
There was a few ideas. Okay, thank you. Also, I was going to ask, I know the Superior Court might defer to the city administration in terms of, you know, before they even entertain anything, it has to go through the process you just laid out. But there's no stop when it comes to, let's say, someone who wants to continue to increase the rent, they can continue to increase it despite the process continuing to play out. And that's what seems to be happening.
I would say that would be a situation where they may do so at their own peril. Because if there is, you know, just again, speaking hypothetically, rhetorically, if there is a decision to provide relief, then that would, you know, roll back, potentially roll back any of those subsequent ongoing increases.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just want to put it out in the open.
Okay, so any questions or comments on petition communication 6.1 through 6.33? Hearing none, there are no officer communications. Any questions or comments on report of directors 8.1 through 8.5? Hearing none, moving on to our claims and addendum number 1. So council members, I'm going to be taking a vote on claims and addendum number 1. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
Council President stepped out. So currently the vote on claims and addendum number 1 are approved 8-0 with Council President Waterman absent. On to our resolutions. Council members are going to be taking a vote on items 10.1 through 10.13. Again, that's items 10.1 through 10.13. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
I think we should have a across the board cut to the appropriations, you know, 10%. And I know this is for, you said the next 2 months, 3 months. But we need to start cutting now, like across the board, at least 10%. And I'm going to vote no on 10.1. I know there's debt service in there, but we need to start cutting, or else we're going to find ourselves in the same situation we did last year. And I vote aye on all the rest. Let's see. Yep, aye on all the rest.
Thank you, Councilperson Solomon.
Aye on all.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
Council President Waterman's absent. So items 10.1, well, excuse me, 10.1 is approved 7-1 with Councilperson Saleh voting no. Items 10.2 through 10.13 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Waterman absent. Next, be taking a vote on items 10.14 through 10.25. Again, that's items 10.14 through 10.25. And just a point of information, council members, 10.25 was added, there were added 2 regulations, and which are attached to the resolution, and the resolution was updated prior to the agenda being published today. The first regulation is Regulation 23-006. It's to repeal the far side of southbound bus stop on Grove Street at Mercer Street. And Regulation 23-007, repeal the near side southbound bus stop on Montgomery Street at Barrow Street. I just wanted to make that a point of information that's been added to that resolution, and that's what you'll be voting on along with the other regulations, bus stop regulations. So with that being, and we have our business administrator would like to address the council.
I just wanted to confirm with the council that the reason for that update was there's some street changes for one-ways, and we just want to make sure that it is identical to the maps.
Okay, with that being said, council members, I'll be taking a vote on items 10.14 through 10.25. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary. Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Resolutions 10.14 through 10.25 are approved unanimously 9-0. Before we move on, Council President, would you like to take your vote on claims and addendum number 1? Okay, claims and addendum number 1 are now approved 9-0 unanimously. And Council President, on items 10.1 through 10.13. Okay, just to recap that. Item 10.1 is approved 8-1. With Councilperson Saleh voting no, and items 10.2 through 10.13 are approved unanimously 9-0. So now we're all caught up. And for the balance of our resolutions, I'll be taking a vote on items 10.26 through 10.35. Again, that's the balance, 10.26 through 10.35. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Resolutions 10.26 through 10.35 are approved unanimously 9-0. If no one has anything else to add, may I have a motion to adjourn at 8:30 p.m.?
Second.
So I have a motion to adjourn made by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson, I'm going to give it to Ridley. On the motion to adjourn at 8:30 p.m., Councilperson Ridley. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera. And Council President Waterman. Motion carries unanimously 9-0. We are adjourned at 8:30 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone watching at home, everyone who was present, everyone here. Thank you very much. And remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night.